What's up, guys? I'm Bob Tompkins with Real Broker and living in South Carolina, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode of Living in South Carolina, we're going to be talking about the 5 worst things in the state of South Carolina. So let's get right on into it. Coming in at number 5 is probably the thing I hate the most, but it's not the worst thing about the state. It's the humidity. The humidity is absolutely appalling in the state of South Carolina, but it's really bad in the summer. Now, I was looking up some statistics on this, and I think that these rankings have to be completely wrong because everywhere I looked, South Carolina was ranked either 47th or 48th in the nation at overall humidity. But when you live here, you know that that cannot be the case. Because in the summers, it may be that our winters aren't that humid and therefore the statistics average out. But in the summer, our humidity is so bad here that your shirt sticks to you when you walk outside. You walk outside and you immediately feel sticky. It makes summers somewhat miserable. The rest of the year, great. Fall, spring, winter, very enjoyable seasons in South Carolina. But the humidity of summer, it'll get you. We always say it's not the heat that gets you, it's the humidity. That's how bad it is in South Carolina. We have a phrase that encompasses it. Coming in at number 4 on my list is the roads. The roads in South Carolina are absolutely terrible. Back in the day, it used to be said that South Carolina had the best roads in the nation. That was, I think, back in the 1960s or 70s. My dad tells me about it all the time because back in his early 20s, it was actually on the license plate of South Carolina, best roads in the USA. Well, the 1970s must have been the last time South Carolina maintained their roads because we went from having the best to having the 14th worst as reported by consumeraffairs.com. I'm not exactly sure how that ranking works either because I've been around a lot of this country and I haven't seen roads that are much worse than South Carolina's. I tend to tell clients that are moving to the area all the time that you're gonna save here on property taxes. Property taxes are a lot lower in South Carolina than most of the country, but you're gonna pay for it in the expense of maintaining your car because I think I have to replace a tire at least every year due to the road conditions. Again, I'm not sure how these statistics work, but it may just be that I'm surrounded by good roads in Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, that it really makes these South Carolina roads feel awful. Now, the top 2 on my list are pretty serious matters, so before we get there, number 3 is a little bit more of a light-hearted worst of South Carolina. At number 3, I have that it never snows. If we're lucky up here in the upstate of South Carolina where I live, we may get 1 snow or maybe 2 snows a year, but the rest of the state is pretty much SOL. That means shit out of luck. That there's no snow coming to Columbia, Charleston, the lower parts of the state, as it's just too warm during winter here. Now, some of those of you that live in the northern part of the country may say, yay, no snow. But there is something magical when you're a kid about waking up and seeing that first snow of winter. And here in South Carolina, it's seeing the first snow of the decade that feels pretty special because we don't get it every year. Coming in at number 2 on my list of the worst things about South Carolina is our health and wellness. South Carolina is one of the worst states at health and wellness. Plainly put, we just don't like eating well and we don't like exercising down here. South Carolina ranks as the 47th state in annual physical health. We rank 45th in cardiovascular disease, we rank 45th in diabetes, and we rank 40th in obesity. Now, there's a lot of contributing factors to this, but I think the most are your fried foods and your sweet tea. These are things when you're walking around, strolling in South Carolina, you'll see almost every individual with a big sweet tea from McDonald's in their hand and always eating our fried foods. This definitely contributes to the poor health and wellness of the state of South Carolina. So if you're moving here, relocating here, or you already live here, this is something you need to be very conscious of. You got to make good decisions with what you're eating and what you're putting inside your body. That way you don't become just another statistic in the state of South Carolina. Now, before we get to number one on my list, I have one honorable mention, something I wanted to put in this list for the worst things about South Carolina, but it really just didn't fit that top 5. And that is Myrtle Beach. Dirty Myrtle, as they call it, the Myrtle Beach Strip, is by far and away one of the worst things about South Carolina. I personally hate Myrtle Beach. So many people in America look at Myrtle Beach as this great tourist destination. And if you live in the state, you know there's a reason why we call it Dirty Myrtle. There's high crime down there on the Myrtle Beach Strip, as well as just disgusting environments. Tourists don't take care of the beach. They leave it dirty all the time. Of course, the people from Myrtle Beach will tell you there's great things. There's Surfside Beach, Garden City. You can go a little north, you can go a little south. You can find so many good things. Don't label Myrtle Beach just based on the Myrtle Beach Strip. Well, I am. Myrtle Beach is trash. I hate Myrtle Beach. I don't go there ever, and I don't think you should either. So as my honorable mention on the worst things about South Carolina, it's Myrtle Beach. Now, last but certainly not least on my worst things about South Carolina, it's the education. South Carolina has historically been known for poor education in the state, although it has gotten a little bit better recently. When I was in high school, we used to have this saying, it was thank God for Mississippi, because we were ranked 49th out of 50 in education. Thankfully, we're a little bit higher now, but I still believe we beat Mississippi. As reported by USnews.com, South Carolina is 42nd in the country when it comes to pre-K to 12th grade education, and then we're 45th in the country when it comes to higher education. South Carolina has improved a little bit, moving up the list in the last 10 years since I graduated from high school, but there's still a lot of work to be done in South Carolina. So if you're looking for a place with the best education for your kids, unfortunately, South Carolina is not at the top of that list, even though we do have a few really good schools across the state. Well, guys, as I said, my name's Bob Tompkins with Real Broker and living in South Carolina. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out some of our others and hit that subscribe button so you can see all the content we post on living in South Carolina. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.